So I think I will get started. We've got a couple of people online with more to follow. And I welcome people. Some of you are returning, so this is great. And some of you regularly book in so that you can get a copy of the tape and the slides, because those will be given to you at the very end. I wanted to thank you guys for joining me and to let you know that I have my colleagues online with me, Diane and Jenny. And Jenny will be the person that you can write to ask a question, and I will answer the questions at the end. I do ask that people put themselves on mute now. The way I'll format this is I will talk for the presentation and encourage people to write questions. And then at the end, Jenny will come on and answer them. If you're not familiar with Zoom, you can actually click on the chat button below, either at the bottom or at the top of your computer, and then you can write an email to a chat to her, and she will hold those questions for later. The allotment of time today will be a little bit longer because the topic is quite robust in that we're talking about business survival. We're talking about your business survival. So I'll talk for about 25, 30 minutes at the most, and then I'll open it up to questions and we'll provide answers, and that will be the last 15 minutes. At the end, we'll send you a copy of the presentation, a PDF set of slides, and invite you to join me for a free 30-minute conversation, and we'll ask you to complete the survey. So I'm going to start to share my screen and share my slides with you. So welcome to COVID-19 Tough Decisions for Business Owners, and this is our fourth in a series, and it is on business survival. So what's the current situation right now? Things are difficult and times are changing. The number of cases are still on the rise, 100 deaths in Ontario and more. The state of emergency in Ontario is continuing for 2 more weeks. Every provinces across the country is in a state of emergency. And in Ontario, school closures until May 1st or longer now have been identified, where they started off with 2 weeks and then 3 weeks, and now up until May 1st. Safety certainly is the priority. The great news was last Friday when the government announced that instead of that 10% wage subsidy, that it would go to 75%, and that more details would come. Hopefully it was going to come on Monday, and some of it came on Tuesday, but the details are still not ironed out. What we do know is that 5% of wage subsidy is being provided, up to $847 per person per week. And it's been extended from just small to medium-sized employers to all businesses, regardless of size, and there's no cap on the number of employees that are being considered. There are some details to iron out, but one of them that we've heard about is that you must demonstrate 30% reduction in your revenue. And of course, many of us determine revenue in different ways, and we have consultants that support us through that. So that revenue is not necessarily our net revenue. There is another subsidy that provides $2,000 relief aid that you can start to apply on April the 1st. There is a recall vote, I heard today, by the government because the Conservative leader was concerned about this is such a radical decision and it should not be made just by the Liberal government. So there is talk now of a recall of the government to actually have a vote on the 75% wage subsidy. So we're 3 weeks now into business in a COVID social distancing norm. And I think the first 2 to 3 weeks, we were actually on survival mode, just trying to figure out what to do and when to do it. And now we are actually settling into a few more known variables. And so I felt today was a good time to really talk about business survival and what will business look like when you return to normal. But it won't be normal. We know things will have changed so drastically that there is a new normal. And what will that new normal be? So I started this series of presentations to help address some of the concerns and the needs that managers, business owners, and HR professionals have to understand some of the legislation and some of the feelings and tips and strategies on what we should be doing to really ride through this COVID crisis that we're having. My name is Hilda Gann, and I am the founder and president of People Bright Consulting. We're an HR consulting firm, and I'm a creator of a concept called Connect with RevUp. My husband and I actually owned our own engineering firm 10 years ago, and we grew it from 2 to 125 offices, 125 employees, 7 offices across Canada, and became recognized as a best workplace in Canada, top 10 twice. My areas of expertise is in healthcare, engineering, human resources, IT, and I really want to just help. And this is what my team and I are doing, is really help provide that understanding and expertise that we have to people who are just learning about what does this mean, what does it mean for me as a company, and how am I going to survive that. That's what we want to do. We want to help you by providing you with our knowledge and our interpretation for what you're going through right now. So what I'm going to discuss today is to update you on the relevant legislation for businesses, how to keep your business afloat amid the crisis, talking about tips and strategies, lessons learned from the Calgary flood, thinking about a business continuity plan, looking at some of the HR strategies that you need to talk about and think about in your decision making, how to shift your business to reflect what you've done in the past, present, but also the future. And then really talking about strategies to not just survive COVID-19, but to really, maybe flourish is too lofty a word, but really just to take advantage of the situation and to try to get out of it as best as you can. So what are some of those legislative changes? We talked about the 75% wage subsidy, which I have already talked about, so I won't go to that, but let me go back to the first point, which is EI benefits for those due to COVID-19. We have talked about them in the first 3 series in bits, but I do want to just remind you, the EI benefits are really there to help people who are individual workers. But not only that, it is for, the government has created a EI benefit for people who are not eligible, who don't contribute to EI. And this can be the person who's been the stay-at-home parent and has never worked for the last year or so. There is a proviso to allow them to apply for EI benefits as non-eligible workers. And this too will be a godsend for those of us who are business owners who again are not eligible. But the criteria are related to COVID-19. So you need to go into the website and read what those are. Primarily they are related to being similar to the EI benefits for EI workers, which is virus. You have the virus, you're quarantined due to travel or exposure to someone who had the virus, or you're taking care of your children, your elderly, as a result of COVID-19 because of the closure of schools or daycares, or because you've got seniors in your family that you need to go and support. So this is something that everybody should apply for. And the way you apply for it is when you do apply for it, if you're not eligible and they deem you to be not eligible, they'll switch you over to the non-eligible. One of the things the government created over on the right-hand side here in my slide is the Canadian Emergency Business Account. And this is to help companies with that wage subsidy, not the wage subsidy, with a loan. And it is a loan for $40,000. It's, my understanding it's a line of credit, and that credit will be interest free. You can draw upon it. It will go until 2022. If you have not paid it back, then the interest will start accumulating. There is a proviso for 10,000 or up to 10,000 of it being forgiven. So that's not a bad deal to take something where you don't have to pay interest. It may give you the cash flow you need, and there may be a portion of that that's forgiven. Again, the details are not finalized. We don't know a lot, but this is what I know. This is what I'm sharing. Originally, it did talk about payroll for $50,000 salary to $1 million in 2019. Again, my understanding now that $1 million proviso has changed and may go up to higher, because the government on Monday shared that they were actually going to make it open to all businesses, and not just businesses in the private sector. It now applied to charities, not-for-profit organizations, and large businesses. The Prime Minister delayed announcing the details on Monday and said that the Finance Minister was going to share it on Tuesday. Tuesday has come, Tuesday has gone, and they said that the details would be today. So I went on the news prior to this session and did not get any further details. What I did hear was that they were going to try to make it available in April the 6th. No, sorry, that's not the Canadian Emergency Business Account. That's the 75% wage subsidy that they have delayed that to today. Right now, I understand that those people who are connected in the financial world have been given emails to tell them that there's a technical brief on the rollout of the 75% wage subsidy. So look out for the details there afterwards. I also received an email message that said that in the Canadian Services Canada site under COVID-19, there is now a link to know more about these various funds. So do look out for that. The last thing I want to share is other support, and this is the deferred GST, HST import taxes to June 2020. So those of you who owe money from March, April, do not have to pay it till June. And they will defer income tax to August 2020 interest-free. There are loans from Export Development Canada and Business Development Canada. For those of you particularly in the manufacturing industry, in the retail industry, in the import-export business. So I encourage you to look at all of these array of funds. I think it's very interesting that the governments across the country are sending a message of safety comes first. We have to stop the spread of this virus, and to do that we need to practice social distancing. And they're sending powerful message now. If people don't do it, there are jail terms. There's up to $75,000 or $100,000 in fines. That is serious business, and we all need to do our part. The second is safety for families, and to take care of your families. And some of the measures that the government has looked at are measures that help you take care of your family. And the last one is that Canadians should not be overly burdened about worrying about their livelihood, their financial safety. And all these measures are doing that to help us. As business owners, I think we have that added burden of how do we make ends meet? How will we manage to have our business survive? And how do we help our staff without impacting on the survival of our companies? So how do you grow? Regardless of COVID or not COVID, the 4 simple ways you grow is, number 1, you get existing clients to purchase additional products or services. Number 2, you acquire new clients either locally or globally. you introduce new products or services, and you acquire another company. Those are the 4 essential ways you grow. And regardless of that size, the key is to build a strong foundation. Some of you have had growth and built it using one of these, and you have a strong foundation. If you don't, if you've been just kind of thinking, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, I encourage you to think about what is that strong foundation for you. And to me, that is having a mission, vision, and values that then is your foundation to think of how you're going to grow your business, what kind of clients you're going to have, and what kind of staff you want to hire. Hello? Okay, can you mute yourself? It says Maxowski, if you could just mute yourself.
Yeah, just a moment. I'm trying to figure this out. Bear with me.
All right, I'll carry on. I hope you can find your mute button. So what I want to do is help you think about how this impacts on your business. And that's taking a step back. The first 2 weeks, we were all in survival mode, trying to gather data, trying to learn new things that we needed to do and just survive. And now we've been thinking about how does this all impact us? So I've got a little speedometer here to kind of, like a dashboard to get you to think about what is going to impact your business like now, but to also get you to reflect 3 months down the line and 6 months down the line. And maybe you can just, jot down in 3 months, this is what I think it might look like. In 6 months, this is what I think it might look like. And some of you have seasonal businesses. So you know that, in 3 months time, it's summer, and summer things are not going to happen for you this year. So you may not have revenue. Or some people realize that in 6 months time, this is when I ramp up, the timing will be right. What do I need to do? So 5 things that you should consider as you're kind of assessing this, and maybe there's others that you think of, but here's 5 that are probably essential. Number 1 is revenue. Projections by the month. And you may want to do an optimistic, a pessimistic, and a conservative revenue. And of course, that will be contingent on what your core businesses are. What do you want to offer? But revenue is certainly one part of the puzzle. The other is cash flow. And everybody knows cash flow, cash is king. And what you need to do right now is you need to conserve and stretch your cash. Make strategic spending choices. And if it means you have to cancel something, you do. And I know I've been talking to some of my colleagues and clients and say, Hilda, this was the best quarter. I was primed. I made more in that quarter than I made 2 years ago in the whole year. And then within 2 weeks, that beautiful, abundant quarter just disappeared as companies canceled the projects. They hadn't signed, so they decided not to sign. They said, we'll do it, but we're in the midst of COVID-19, so maybe we're looking at 6 months, a year down the road. So that really has had an impact. Workforce. So a lot of you have faced layoffs, and I want to share ideas about work share, terminations. We'll do that in the next slide. But I'm also asking you, when you're looking at your projections for 3 to 6 months, are you going to call people back? Some of you actually might think about calling people back this week or next week, because when the wage subsidy was 10%, you couldn't afford it. But now if it's 75% and it goes until June, perhaps that is what you need to get over the hump, and maybe you can recall some of those people back. Think about trying to retrain your team for recovery. And what does recovery look like for you? See the potential of your individuals. My concept of Rev Up is treating people with an acronym for Rev Up is respect, equality. And equality means seeing everybody's job as just as important as the other. So that's equality. Value, showing that you care about them. Uniqueness, seeing what the skills that a person has that are special and tap into that as potential. So rev up is respect. Look at people with respect and equality, value who they are, look into their uniqueness and tap into the potential. That may be the key to your success of surviving, because if you can find people who can do certain skills that will help you move the bar of your company, that may be beneficial for you and for your employees. Think about cross-training, new skills, and new processes that you might have to do, and who can help you build those new processes. Remember, I said the way you grow is through products and services as one thing. So if you are not already, you should be checking in with your clients to make sure you're doing what you can for them and you're keeping them happy, because they'll remember that afterwards. What do clients and customers need? Because maybe what they need right now, you may be able to supply. I was talking to somebody who does recruiting, and she thought that she would not, she would be quiet because many of her clients are quiet right now. But then she read where there is a big need for Amazon and Walmart and people who are doing delivery to do it. So she was getting on the phone and calling people who are in that business. So think yourself, what kind of product or service that you have that might now align with your existing customers or new customers that you can pivot from your existing business that you do now. This is the time for marketing strategies, to think about how to capture the clients that you have in different ways. You'd be surprised. I have colleagues and clients who are coaches, and they're talking to me saying, well, Hilda, no one needs coaching, no one wants coaching. And then people are saying, I was so surprised. I reached out to somebody and they actually say, no, I really still need this. Let's go with it. So you just never know what is out there and what the needs are without talking to people and identifying and thinking. Invest and help your community. This is the time, if you have the time, to look at doing good and helping others. My team and I got together and said, look, we have this knowledge. We have this ability to interpret many of the things that business owners are just trying to figure out and don't understand. Why don't we put that to good use? And that's when we started to provide these bi-weekly training webinars to help people understand what's out there, how they can figure it out, and to offer a one-on-one to help people have that more unique conversation with me about their business and what they're going through. And the last thing is to really tap into the government support. Now, the government says, you know, we will trust you. We expect if you need it, apply for it. And the message is saying, let's give people the money and we will worry about that later, what needs to happen. And so if you say, I think I lost 30% in revenue, but later on it's not 30%, it's 25, there might be some adjustments made. If you are doing it illegally, there'll be fines and penalties and jail time. So Trudeau was cautioning people, be honest, we will trust you, and we will resolve any inaccuracies later. So, but by all means, do not miss the opportunity to take advantage. I certainly myself will apply for the $40,000 line of credit when I know more details and if I'm eligible. Now, having said that, I was talking to somebody about mortgages. Could you put yourself on mute again, please? Thank you. So I was talking to somebody about the mortgage subsidy, the mortgage deferral and how the banks are doing that. And some people went to the banks. There is talk, and I would really love to have an accountant or a financial planner's perspective on this, that if you apply for these loans, will it affect your credit rating? And some people are saying yes, some people are saying no. But I think do that homework, find out the fact and figure out whether this applies to you or doesn't apply to you. But anything you can apply for, certainly you should be doing it. Go to the banks. I hear the banks are looking forward to hearing us apply for loans and seeing what they can do. They're not risk takers, but the government has created that safety net for them. So they will be willing to help you provide you with some loans. I am Chinese, and I remember hearing this a long time ago, so I thought it was apropos to bring it up today. The word for crisis in Chinese is a caricature of two words, one meaning danger and one meaning opportunity. And the Chinese, as they develop their language graphically, use pictures to depict words. And so I think this is we are in a crisis. COVID-19 is a crisis of a pandemic global size. And it is dangerous, but as the calligraphy shows you, where there is danger, there is also opportunity. So I ask you as business owners to try to understand where your comfort zone is. Recognize there is danger, but look at that opportunity. See what that opportunity might be for you. And as business owners, we are risk takers, some probably more than others, but do try to see that opportunity. I thought I found this article interesting. Remember the Calgary flood of 2013. It was an amazing time, both in terms of the disaster that occurred, but also the camaraderie, the humankind support that was had. And I don't want to lose sight of what you can do to survive. Scott Crockett, the VP of the Business Council of Alberta, wrote this recently, reflecting on what are the lessons learned that we can use. So he said, if there's anything the flood taught us, is that there is hope. And you know what Calgary is like today. So he reminds you, call your banker, refer to the goods and services that are being offered by your company so that they are willing to, I'm sorry, disregard the bottom part. Call your banker, because they're willing and ready to help you. Call your landlord. So many landlords are in a position to forgive the loan, forgive the rent for a few months and defer it, not necessarily forgive, but defer it. And I know that some of the people I've talked to, they said, my landlord actually came to us the other day and he said, okay, you know, we're going to give you a hold. You don't need to pay until June. So they're actually holding the rent for 3 months for them. So thank goodness they are doing that and help. The other thing was to call your insurers. Call your insurers because there may be clauses that you have for protection for emergency situations. Some of you may have that. Some of you might have it where you have that proviso, but it doesn't cover the things like an epidemic, force majeure kind of thing. I apologize. I thought I had put the bullet points in there for that. And then think of cost effect. I want to focus now a little bit on the HR side, the cost effective measures that you can think about short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And we kind of highlighted those, so I don't necessarily need to spend too much time in some areas that I've already covered. But again, I do encourage you to apply for every funding possible that makes sense for you, and look at the governments, the banks, and the insurers. That 75% wage subsidies looks like it's something we all can apply for. 25% may be enough to help you weather this storm. For some companies, and I've talked to a couple of business owners, they said, Hilda, this isn't going to help us. We are going to be in a situation where revenue will not come in until September. I cannot afford 25% wage subsidies until September without digging into savings that I've had, or it can't happen. So do look for it. If it applies to you, great. Maybe it's a combination. Maybe you can afford to have 1 or 2 people working under 75% wage, but that you have to terminate or lay off others. Use a 3 months to create a plan for revenue generation. So as I mentioned earlier, talking to clients about your needs, identifying new clients that might need your services. Look at the work share program. And under the work share program, I don't know if many of you know, this is an existing program that has been available for a long time. It was actually used during the recession of 2008, 2009, where essentially it's a sharing between your business and the government. The government is willing to pay EI benefits for people in the work share program on the days they're not working. Example, if I decide that I'm going to have staff work 3 days a week and their work share is 2 days and not work 2 days a week, then the government will pay those people for 2 days of EI, and you would pay your staff 3 days worth of wages. So they work 3 days, get paid 3 days, 2 days they don't work, they get EI benefits. What you need to do is go on site and look for Workshare program, the Canadian Services site, and look for the Workshare program and put in an application. The application is twofold, one for your business and explaining why you need to do this, and then one for each employee, because each employee will have to say, I am willing to Workshare. Sometimes the alternative is, okay, I can't Workshare, I'd rather be terminated, or can you lay me off? So everyone has to agree to it in order to be in the Workshare program. Let me rephrase that. Everybody who wants to be in the Workshare program has to complete the employee application. Every employee does not have to be in the Workshare program, so there's a distinction there. What I suggest you do, though, is do an assessment of what that costs you. So that your staff know, if we do the Workshare program, 60% of your salary will be covered by the company. And then the other part, the 2 days, up to a certain maximum, will be covered by the EI benefit. And when you show people that and the alternative of just purely being on EI, they may say, it's better to have this much income coming into our household than to be totally on a layoff notice situation. And then communicate one-on-one with your staff to hear what they're thinking and to support them. And this is the way to, if you choose the Workshare program, to be much more successful. The last thing I wanted to talk about is really looking at your workforce, those opportunities to cross-train. Maybe instead of laying off people, if you are going to use the wage subsidies, utilize them effectively to really do the things you've never had the time to do, whether that's cleaning up your processes, writing them down, creating a new marketing plan. Use them to build the business and to prepare it for that 6 months down the line, or even today. If you do need to do terminations, do them, but make sure you write them up effectively. If you recall your people, that might also be an option. The last thing I want to mention is about Workshare about business continuity. You really need to think about business continuity plans. At least skim through all the things that you need to think of and do, so that will help you currently and in the future. So for COVID-19, do you see danger or opportunity? Do reflect on the past, what you've done, and ask yourself these questions. What product or service do I provide? Can I continue to do that? And if not, what do I need to do now? And what will it look like in the future? Look at the current need. Face-to-face has gone viral. Face-to-face has seminars and training sessions and meetings has gone viral. E-learning and virtual summits. People now are rethinking the hospitality industry right now to survive. We've got online shopping, we've got delivery, we've got takeout. So what in your business is, how do you respond to the current need? Can you do anything? Some people now are trying to do virtual training classes for webinars, and other people are trying to reinvent themselves in some way. So think about how that happens. And then again, think about what happens 6 months, 3 months down the line and what you can do. So to survive, I have some more tips for you and to take advantage. Vision and change leadership. This is the time where you recognize where you need to go. And to create that opportunity, step back. Think about what your foundation is or why you are in the business and what can that business look like. Be open to transforming your company. People want your leadership. People need your leadership. And perfect is not required. A lot of us are perfectionists and we will wait and wait and wait till we've got everything set. Now is not the time to do that. You do not have the time to be perfect. And also, now is the time to not be perfect because everybody out there is much more understanding. They don't expect perfection. Everybody's more adaptable, flexible, and think of it by being positive and think of people being a little bit more forgiving than they have been in the past. So don't be hard on yourself if you're a perfectionist. Just try it and get out there and perfect it. Imagine what the people who are going into Zoom calls are like now. They're much more effective and efficient than they were on week one. So this is our opportunity to learn and try different things. Do take advantage of the financials, as I mentioned. Really be creative. Challenge your norms. If you're a person that is more conservative, look around you. Maybe there is somebody in your organization, maybe there are colleagues and friends out there that are more out of the box thinkers. Talk to them, ask them, and listen to them. Maybe they're going to give you a tip or an epiphany that really will help you kind of shift your business a little bit. So do allow yourself to challenge yourself or get people to help you. I belong to a couple of network groups that I call in during the week, and this is a way to hear different things that people are doing, get different ideas, and then maybe some of those ideas will resonate with yourselves. Have staff that can recall to help you find money, because maybe they will be able to help you with the money. You don't have to do all the marketing. You don't have to do all the figuring out. Maybe there are some key people in your organization that can help you rebuild. And then the last point is take care of yourself. Know what happens to you when you're stressed. Are you one of those people that actually gets quiet and kind of becomes very internal? Or are you one of those people that starts yelling at people and ordering them around? You know, maybe your comfort zone is control. So in your anxiety, you become more control and almost sound dogmatic. So think about what stresses you and try to check yourself before you get too stressed. And think about being kind to yourself. Rest when you need to rest. If you need a nap in the afternoon, it's okay now. You have been under a lot of stress. I found myself at the end of the first week really, really tired, and I wondered why that was. And I liken it to when you start a new job and you spend that first week getting oriented. If you recall, you come home really tired because number one, you're meeting a whole bunch of new people, you're learning about a new company, you're learning the routines of a new company. Everything has shifted. The norms you had are different. That's what COVID-19 has done to us. Everything has shifted. The way we run our business, the way we work at home, the meals that we get now, everything has shifted. So do take care of yourself, eat healthy. Mindfulness has been a buzzword, but mindfulness really works. Mindfulness is about being in the presence and really connecting, feeling, touching, taking in all your senses, because that allows you to focus on the now and forget about the stresses of the future or the past. So that really works. Eat healthy and exercise. I have a couple of links. These were the ones that we used in our last session, but these will help you find things easier than trying to keep Googling and figuring out where things are at. I have upcoming sessions, which is EP05 is on change leadership. We are in a time of transformation, and what you need is change leadership, how to lead in the face of transformation. So I'll be doing that. And EP6, which is Wednesday, will be know your legal rights from a workplace perspective. And I have invited my colleague and friend, Stuart Rudner from Rudner Law. And so he's going to come in, and we're going to have a Q&A and giving you some more information on that. I do want to let you know some of the people that I've talked to really don't have expertise in human resources, and you do find yourself trying to figure out where to go and what to do. So I wanted to share with you that I do have an HR on-call services. It's when and as you need it. You can call me our team anytime. We give you a response and we help. And so I have two packages, one that's for 2 hours that can be used over the next 6 weeks. And I'm cutting that into half price for $300. And then I have one that if you feel you need more time, it's 4 hours, and that's less than half price at $550. If that's interesting to you, then do have that one-on-one conversation with me and sign up for this on my website. But I do want to spend time now focusing on some questions. So any questions that have arisen, Jenny?
No, not yet. So everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to put it on the chat. Hilda will respond to them one by one.
Okay, so this is how you get a hold of me. As I said, I do offer that one-on-one consultation because sometimes giving you a bit more information will help you in that decision making. The connection is my calendar, which is www.calendly.com. HG_People Bright Consulting. You will get a copy of this presentation. It is on YouTube, and so Jenny will send you the link. We'll send you a copy of these slides. We will also send you a copy of the link to my calendar if you'd like to have that one-on-one discussion with me. I appreciate that all of you are going through some really difficult times right now, and if there's anything that I can do to help you, certainly here for that. I've got many years in the business, and I understand from a pragmatic point of view what we as business owners are going through. My husband and I weathered that storm in 2009, and I was part of SARS, working at a hospital on the board at the time. So I understand what COVID-19 is doing to our world, and really want to help business owners because we take risks. We take risks all the time, and we are trying to build our business, and we impact so many lives as well as our own livelihood. Jenny, any other questions?
Yeah, there is one. So one person asked, can you also talk about the new support for employees, the Canada Emergency Response Benefits? Which one of my employees can apply for that?
Okay, so the Canada Employee
the Canada Emergency Response Benefits.
So this is something that will be applicable for people who do not fall under the EI benefit. What they did was they tried to simplify it by offering $2,000 bi-weekly. Before it was a little bit less, now it's more, and people can apply for that. So that application is coming supposedly now, and they should be able to go onto the Canada Services site and look under that CERB. The application forms are there now. Any other questions?
No, not yet.
Okay. So I thank you all for your time. I know it is tough times, and as I said, I'm more than happy to to jump on a call and talk to you. I know I've talked to a couple of people, and some people said that they're going to sleep better tonight, and they wanted me to know how much they really appreciated hearing how I could help them understand the situation and come up with solutions, because I understand better what all of the benefits might be in the long run, not just the short term, but how it's going to impact you as you go forward and try to rebuild your business and still keep connected to your staff so they stay loyal afterwards. Take it easy. Thank you for your precious time today. And if you're interested, do sign up for subsequent webinars that I will continue to offer as long as we need to be in this situation of COVID-19. Stay safe, everybody, and thank you.